Dr. Tamara Navarro. I'm nervous. I speak in front of a lot of people, but this is something different. I've lived 63 years, and I have lived always reaching for that impossible star. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia when I was 12, 13 years old. There is no way I can chronicle the 63 years in this very long, in this short speech. I just can't tell you all about it, but I do want to tell you something about my journey. My journey began with physical and sexual abuse. I feared I could be murdered at any time during my childhood and adolescence. My story is about mental illness in its various phases that is still in this millennium, still misunderstood and feared by most people. I have no pretense to think or believe I will enlighten the masses or lead the mentally ill to the promised land, nor do I want to be a role model or a poster person for the mentally ill. I know too many people who live here in the United States and in other countries that should be recognized for their efforts to live with this illness. Some of these countries make stigma in the United States look like a fairy tale. I'm really accepting this award for them. I do hope that this award will give me the clout, so what I say will inspire a few people to reach for their impossible star. Also, just maybe some other people will listen to me a little bit better. Medication's not enough, and the mentally ill people have a right to pursue happiness just like anyone else in the United States. I spent the better part of my adolescence and young adulthood in and out of hospitals. I remember between acute episodes of psychosis, which I like to call episodes of unique thinking, and through the fog of heavy antipsychotic drugs, wanting something more out of my life. Despite all of these obstacles, I kept my studies up. I applied to the University of California and was accepted. There were many people in the 60s and 70s, most of them professionals, who told me I could not be a psychotherapist and that I could not help other people with mental illnesses. One particular professional told me I had a monstrous personality disorder and a menacing character flaw. I would cry going home every night and cry and cry. Thankfully, not all of the professionals were like this. I believe I wouldn't be alive today if it were for two professionals. Helped me grow through this, to learn how to live and grow in spite of schizophrenia. One of these people is Dr. Grace Lusk, who has been my psychiatrist and friend for 38 years. The other person was clinical social worker Celeste Giles, who was my first therapist when I was 11 years old. She became my mother figure. Celeste passed away early this year on her 91st birthday. Years went by. I raised 2 children on my own. I finally got my PhD. I struggled getting jobs and keeping jobs. But I learned how to cope with symptoms and how to appropriately communicate with people in various situations. This was not easy by any means, and I still have to use great deal of my time and energy to just get out of bed every morning. I began focusing on other people with mental illnesses and stopped focusing on myself all the time. I've been on several boards, and I have donated my time in working to SARDA and Schizophrenia Anonymous, as well as working with parents who have young adult children who have had their first psychotic break. For the last 14 I have been mentoring some 42 people who live in other countries other than the United States. These people have major mental illnesses or have a relative who suffers with a major mental illness. I can't reveal their names or where the countries that they live in because some of them live in very oppressive governments. And also I consider them my clients and they, as such, get confidentiality. I'd like to tell you, though, one story where I have disguised the details. A young girl, I'll call Mary, began writing to me after a clinic opened near her village. Mary's mother had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and been institutionalized. Mary lived with her grandmother, who could only say nothing but derogatory things about her mother. Needless to say, I was touched by her story and provided all the support I could give her. Today, Mary is attending a university and is studying to be a psychologist. I have also been working for the last 12 years at an extraordinary agency in Sacramento called Human Resources Consultants. HRC contracts with the county to provide treatment for people with major mental illnesses. What is unique about HRC is their commitment to hire people with mental illnesses, and these people have jobs that are meaningful and satisfying. One last story, a little comic relief. My son, he's 34 years old now, and he's a psychiatric nurse practitioner. A few months ago, he was talking with some colleagues. They were discussing the difficult decision of whether or not it's better not to prescribe antipsychotic medication when the patient is pregnant. My son jumped up and said, "I'm a Thorazine baby, look at me." What is the answer? I asked myself. I think it is different for each of us. For me, it's passion. My favorite feeling is crying and laughing at the same time. I think it's experiencing the appalling and sometimes meaningless tragedy of life, but embracing the awesome beauty and the delightful comical side of life. I wrote this little poem when I was 8 years old, and I'd like to share it with you. I have a little brain tucked safely in my head, and another little brain that's in the air instead. This one plays with me and talks with me in bed. The other one confuses me, the one that's in my head. I have so many people to thank. Thank you to Ms. Stalter from STARTA for nominating me and believing in me. And thank you to all my friends in Schizophrenia Anonymous. Also, all the people who have stood by me in the good and bad. Thank you, Dr. Luss, for putting up with me for 38 years. And thank you, Celeste, wherever you are. I miss you. Thank you.